Welcome to Brave New Bookshelf, a podcast that explores the fascinating intersection of AI and authorship. Join hosts Steph Padonis and Danica Favorite as they dive into thought-provoking discussions, debunk myths, and highlight the transformative role of AI in the publishing industry.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Brave New Bookshelf. I'm one of your co-hosts, Steph Padonis, CTO, and I guess CTO, just CTO. I'm already messing this up, and it's only the first few minutes of the podcast, right? CTO of the Future Fiction Academy and Future Fiction Press, where we teach authors how to use AI in any part of their process, and we're publishing AI-forward books on Future Fiction Press. And that has come to a little bit of a head this past week. We'll be talking about it throughout this particular episode, but I'm going to preface it by saying you can go to futurefictionpress.com and check out some of the books that we've published using AI, because they're out there now and people are actually reading them and downloading them and buying them because they're curious about what we do, since we were just quoted in a New York Times article, which is what we'll be talking about today on the podcast with our guest. But before we get into that, I'm going to introduce my lovely co-host, as always, Danica Favorite. It's good to see your smiling face. I love you.
Yeah. Good to be here. As always, we were just talking beforehand. Some of you already know Coral Hart because she has been on the podcast before. And we love Coral. I had been trying to get her back on the podcast, and we had so many weird scheduling snares. And then we had her booked for today. And right before this, the New York Times article came out. And so we keep saying this is divine providence.
It is.
So really excited that we get to have Coral here today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Danica Favorite. I am the community manager at Publish Drive, where we help authors at every stage of their journey, from getting the perfect metadata, book description, AI book covers, to getting your books distributed out to the widest audience possible, and then having some in-store promotions, things like that. And then finally, if you're needing to split royalties with other co-authors or co-contributors, we can help you do that. And so between us and FFA and FFP, we really can help you on every stage of the journey to help you learn to write the books. And one of the things we really pride ourselves on doing on Brave New Bookshelf is, while obviously it's about these two companies that have a great synergy, we also love to bring in other people who are doing great things in the AI space. And Coral Hart is one of those people, because yes, she teaches classes and things, which FFA also does, but it's a different teaching style. And what may jive with one person isn't going to be a match for another person. And so I like the fact that here we are in the age of AI, that there are so many options and so many possibilities, and love the fact that we have someone like Coral out there teaching, but also who is out there on kind of the front lines and being willing to put herself out there. And so usually we go through our questions and everything, but you guys have seen Coral before. So if you're really interested in her answers to those questions, I'm sure some of it will come up through the conversation, but please do go back and listen to the previous episode, because we covered a lot of that really well. Because today we're really going to dig deep into this whole New York Times thing and Coral's process. And, I think all of us have mentioned at in various places how we feel about this whole thing. And I know we will go deeper into this, but just bottom freaking line, people, we have a zero tolerance policy for bullying. Zero tolerance. We completely do not agree with people who are out there making mean, nasty comments. If you don't like AI, cool, there's the door. Please use it, and without comment. If you are curious about AI, listen in. You're going to find pieces that are for you and pieces that aren't. And as we say in every episode, use what works for you, forget about the rest, but do not go for the authors who are doing things with AI that you don't like or you don't approve of.
100%. We're not going to let that slide at all. In fact, I even deleted some comments on our YouTube channel from our last talk with Coral because I felt that they did not add to the conversation whatsoever. It's just people putting other people down. And we do not stand for that at all. Not even a little bit.
Yeah. And this is a safe place. And we want to always make the podcast a safe place because I know there are a lot of people who are curious about AI, who listen to our podcast and learn something. And I also know a lot of authors who are using AI, but they're afraid to tell people that they are. In fact, there is an author, name is not going to be mentioned because this person is not public about their AI use, but she messaged me personally and said, I just want to let you know that I loved Coral's episode on Brave New Bookshelf. And she has done so much to help me as a writer. I'm terrified to come forward and tell people that I use AI, but I want you to know, and I want you to let Coral know. And so I'm doing this very publicly because I know there are more people out there like this, and I want you to know you're not alone. And so with that, I want to give the stage to Coral. And Coral, why don't you tell us more about yourself? Tell us about this New York Times article, all the good stuff, but really, like, let's hear more about you and particularly the stuff that the New York Times article didn't say.
I'm Carl Hart. I got kind of famous this weekend in the New York Times unexpectedly. I am an AI forward, openly AI forward author. Carl Hart is one of my AI pen names. And actually, as I disclosed to the New York Times lady that she did not put in the article, Carl Hart's pen name was the one I started with. And I started this experiment to see if I could put up an AI book with the absolute bare minimum editing as quickly as possible. I know these books are not the best books ever. They're good books. They're not magical books like some of my other pen names. But I wanted to test where that threshold with the readers was right from the very beginning. And it just happened that this was the only pen name that had social media, so it stayed that way. And then they were like very mad at me for not telling them all 20 of my pen names. And then I was like, but look how you're behaving.
Right?
So you want me to tell you my pen name so you can dox me and one-star bomb me and send me death threats on that one too. You can't have both things. Like, I'll tell you my pen names. Can you behave and be respectful like I have?
I tell people all the time that the anti AI people are in a hell of their own making because they started out like this, where they said, we don't want you using AI. Don't use AI. If you use AI, we're going to punish you. And so the logical response to that is, well, if I use AI, then I'm not going to tell you about it because I don't think I deserve to be punished for using a tool that pretty much the whole world is using right now. Come on, right? So they perpetuate it. They get that, and it starts rolling down the hill as like, well, now we're going to really punish you for hiding it. And and then I hear, well, if only you would declare, we would be able to see who is doing these things or which books are succeeding because they have AI in them. And no, we're not going to declare because of the fact that you're a bunch of bullies. So, it's a hell of their own making.
It is. It is.
Yes.
And one of the things that Coral had shared with us is somebody actually, in doxing her, revealed the name of her child. And somebody went after her child on social media, like found her child on social media and went after them. And this is so completely unacceptable and
Not cool.
egregious. It's absolutely egregious. And one of the things that I observe about that when talking with them, and I'm saying this here because I want to call out these people because I'm so pissed at the bullies, is that if you are so insecure about AI and AI writing that you would go after a child, there is something fundamentally wrong with you, not with the AI, because there is never an excuse to go after a child. And one of the things I do want to go back to from the article and stuff is that, I appreciate, Coral, you saying that this was an older pen name that you were using as an experiment. And you wanted to see what the tolerance of people would be for various levels of AI and how much AI would be allowable and acceptable. And so I kind of feel like that message didn't get printed. But what also got lost in all of that is you were a successful author in your own right prior to doing all of this. And
90 books that I wrote the long way. I wrote 90 books the long way before I picked up Claude, okay? I don't not love writing, because that's the biggest thing out there. Is if you don't love writing, you shouldn't be doing it. I love writing. I love my job. I love making books. I love telling stories. I love romance writing. I love it. You know what I don't love? Not being able to keep up with my squirrel ADHD brain and write them fast enough. It's always felt like a hamster wheel until this. Until that, I felt like I was running on this hamster wheel that I couldn't catch up. I couldn't get the next story out fast enough, but it was already in my head. But I had to finish this one because this one was commercially viable and maybe that one wasn't. Now I can write whatever I want and see if it's commercially viable and not lose 6 months of my life. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And that for me that's what made me the most mad, was when they're like, if you don't love writing, you couldn't possibly find somebody who has probably as much passion for writing as I do. And I always have. And then they were like, oh, but you teach classes. Cool secret. I taught classes before AI also on writing craft, on plotting, on using holidays for marketing, on wide versus KU, on a business. I was the vice chairperson of the Romance Writers of Southern Africa. I literally ran all of their training and also enrichment programs. I love writing and I love romance, but I am also not a stupid business person. And I can see that this industry is on the cusp of a tsunami of change.
yes,
If
I
we
love
don't-
that rephrase, tsunami of change. Like
Okay,
that.
so what happens when a tsunami comes, right? We're going to go for the hill. And either we're going to get up to the top of the hill and we're going to be okay, or we're going to die on the hill because we don't want to move.
100%. Like, just
This is the hill. Now we're on the hill. Get to the top of it. Like, there's no good reason to die on the hill. I'm going to say this, and you can edit it out later if you want to. I don't care how much water ChatGPT uses, okay? I don't care, because Netflix uses more, and so does Facebook, and so does the Instagram that you're on hurling insults at me. So I don't care how much water it uses. I don't care how bad it is for the environment. Before I used AI, I used about 7,000 notebooks a week. That's paper, that's chopping down the rainforest as well. So the environmental impact thing, I've looked at every angle of it, and I have gone and done some research, and just because I don't think it means what you think it means, all of you, just stop. It stole our information. It stole my information too, right? Yes, but there's an Anthropic lawsuit. They settled, which means they've now paid you for the information. So you need to shush. That's what that settlement meant, okay?
Yes,
sorry, we didn't
shush.
pay you for your information. Here's the money for your information. We've got the information. Cool.
Yeah, but even better, the Anthropic lawsuit isn't, we've got your information. It's, we never used your information, but here's your free money anyway. Thank you, Anthropic.
I still can't get over the fact that people think that the Anthropic lawsuit was about the fact that they trained on pirated works, which isn't true. In the Anthropic website settlement, number like 13 on the fact page says that they admit that they held on to these pirated databases, but they never used them for training. And they're sorry they hung on to them. Here's some money. Like, if only people, this bothers me so much that authors do not read. let's all have a big, oh my God, right? Authors do not read. It literally took me 5 minutes to read through the FAQ on the Anthropic website to understand what was going on and move on from there. But no, they see a headline and they run around with it and they don't actually read anything. It's so
Steph read it. I
frustrating.
put it into Notebook LM and let it read it to me in wax crayon pictures. You don't even have to read it. Like someone will fix it for you. I think there's so much fear. I think it's fear driven. I do. And just ignorance, absolute ignorance. So none of those arguments fly with me. And then today I had somebody who was very mad in my inbox because I did not go on social media and fight with them and answer all their shitty comments.
I still can't believe that. It's like, we're over here on this social media network talking about you, slamming you, saying mean things about you. Why aren't you showing up and defending yourself? How about, I got too much work to do. I'm not going to show up over there. What the heck? What's wrong with you?
I just responded very politely with, I'm far too busy writing 5 books today for your nonsense. Thank you.
And again, that goes back to the argument that people make is why aren't you disclosing the AI? This is why people aren't disclosing. And it's really frustrating that you can't have it both ways. Either make it safe for authors to be open about their AI use, or don't try to force them to disclose things that is going to be potentially unsafe for them to disclose. And I don't know how to wrap my mind around the cognitive dissonance that is happening in the author community about AI. They still don't get it. Like every time I see someone who's like, oh, AI is trained on stolen work. No, this has been disproven so
No,
many times. It's so
no.
like all of the arguments that I have been seeing against like what Coral was doing and like everything in the New York Times article and people's responses, all of the negative responses are based on rumors that have already been disproven so many times. And the fact that people continue to believe something that is not true, that has been proven to be not true, I think that also says a lot about those people making those comments.
So I've actually just pulled them up. So it's sorted by quotes. And the overwhelming quote is, you've never written a book in your life. So there's a whole 90 of them before this, before AI came in near. From 2010 to 2024, I wrote 90 books and published 90 books without AI. So the general consensus is they feel I should live shorter, suffer horribly. That's the other theme that comes up. That I'm not an author at all. I have an award in South Africa. There's an award. It's awarded by the Romance Writers Association of Southern Africa. It's the Mbali Award for Romance Writing Excellence. It's judged by a panel of local and international judges. It's the equivalent of what the Rita used to be, right? I have one of those, a beautiful glass trophy on my shelf. I'm pretty sure I'm an author. Like, I'm also pretty sure, because a lot of the comments were, did you see that photo? I'm sure it's AI. I would have looked a lot better if it was AI, I promise.
I thought you looked beautiful. Come on.
Like, actually done. But like, this is the thing. It's like, are we sure she's real? She might just be, I'm like, I feel like you should be doing something better with your time.
I agree.
This goes back to one of the fallacies I think we've talked about. I don't know if we've just talked about it in person or on the podcast because I'm now confused. Is this idea of you have to suffer for your art? And, you know, this whole suffering artist thing and all of these people who, as authors, have suffered for their work. And yeah, guys, like, come on. I remember I was just cleaning out my office the other day and I literally found one of those. So when it used to be that when you would submit, you'd have to submit by mail. And you would have to send it with one of those prepaid envelopes so they could send your manuscript back when they were done with it. And I found one of those prepaid envelopes. And I remember like really being stressed about being able to afford the postage and doing all this stuff. And then, of course, now we have everything's online and it's so much easier. And Now it's even easier with AI. And of course, like now you don't even have to go through those gatekeepers. You could publish your book and upload it through Publish Drive. Very easy. And I just remember thinking that when we made that shift to indie, like how many authors were like, oh, indie authors are not real authors and they can't write a real book, they can't get published. And it's funny because this week Harlequin also announced they were closing one of their lines. They were closing Harlequin Historical.
Queen
A-
Historical.
Yeah. And that's been around for years. And so everyone's like, okay, do it the real way. Okay, that is getting narrower and narrower and narrower. And
Okay,
so, how much do you want people to
real.
suffer?
Real. Okay, first of all, so when I first started, my very first, I was trad first and then I went indie. My very first indie book, a friend who wasn't in publishing came over to my house and her husband was very uppity and he was like, so who's your publisher? And I said, I went indie with this one. And he said, well, it's not a real book. And I remember picking the paperback proof that had just arrived up off my desk and smacking him upside the head and saying, it feels pretty real to me. Like, it's actually real, not a real book. What is a real book? What is a real
Yeah.
book? Because my
I'm going
key
to go with
book's a
Coral
real
now.
book. My coloring in book's a real book. It's a real, if you wrote it and it's published, even if you wrote it and it's not published and it's lying around, it's still a real book. What makes trad real? What makes indie not real? What makes my AI book not a real book? What, who decided? Also, who decided that writing has to be hard? I'm going to say something. Writing has never been hard for me. Writing has never been hard for me. With AI, without AI, it has never been difficult for me to write a book. And I used to get a lot of flack because I could write fast. I could write a 60,000 word book in a week because I can write 10,000 words a day sustainably without AI. I was one of those lucky authors. So why? Because I can go fast. Even then, I was invalidated because I can go fast. So it can't be good. I'm not suffering for it. I didn't take 6 months to write it, so it must be terrible. No.
Right. It's so weird, these standards we put on authors of what makes a good author. Like I think about Charles Dickens, and his books used to be serialized in magazines as little stories, and you had to wait to get each story. I mean, that was the beginning of serialization, and we haven't really talked about like things like Ream or some of these other serialization apps, but
Yeah.
they're out there. And who would argue that Charles Dickens isn't a real author at this stage in literature? But back in the day, he wasn't a real author. So, like, stop it.
No.
Stop it.
No. And that for me is like when they call me not a real author, I'm like, or like it's not human. I'm like, pretty sure I am. Like if I'm not, somebody please let me know. Just that I can start adjusting my identity. I feel like it's fear. And I remember back, so I've been doing this since 2010, right? Right when Kindle first came out, okay? And ebooks were not real books. Ebooks were not real books then. And Kindle was the devil, not AI. And it was going to kill bookstores and nobody was going to buy a print book ever again. Here we are in 2026. There are still bookstores. People are still buying print books. I'm pretty sure my Kindle books are pretty real books.
Right. And
What's
you
the
in on a
next one?
secret. Here is a secret. Publish Drive is about to release probably in the next month or so. So I don't know if it'll be released before or after this episode. But do you want to know the category of publishing that grew the most in 2025 for Publish Drive? Print books.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Isn't it? I was
It,
really shocked. I was like, are you sure those numbers are right? Because everyone is saying that print is dead. And she's like, here are the numbers. And I'm like, holy crap. And so we get in our head these stories of what we think is actually happening, and it's not true. And there are real humans doing the real work. And I mean, I just love the fact that Coral has said over and over here, she has written 90 books without the assistance of AI. And a lot of the guests that we have here are people who have written that number of books. And then they say, okay, how can I translate this knowledge to AI? How can I use my skills as an author? And that's what Coral is teaching, is it's not just, ooh, get rich quick on AI. It's okay, how do you as a writer craft a story? And so I would love to hear a little bit about what you do craft wise and what you're teaching about craft, and how good craft is the human part of what makes AI writing good.
Well, you can't just tell Claude or ChatGPT to write a book. Like that isn't how this works. It's not magic, like we wish, but no. First of all, I don't have any classes that claim to help anybody earn any amount of money. I will teach you business principles. I will teach you writing fundamentals. I will teach you how to rapid release a book. I will teach you how to write quickly. I will teach you how to edit. But I am at no point teaching anyone how to make money, because I can teach you all of the steps. If you're not willing to put in the work, it's not going to work. So no author can make money without working for it. How hard you work equals how much money you get. Like any other job in the world, right? Doesn't matter. But fundamentally, most of my classes are based around understanding the market, reader psychology. Readers are buying feelings, not books. Okay? They're signing up to escape reality. They're buying a feeling, not a book. How are you delivering that feeling to your reader? Do you know who your reader is? Because if you don't know who they are before you start writing the book, you're wasting your time. You need to know who that reader is. So a lot of what I teach is market based on identifying your reader, understanding your reader. Can you deliver as a writer, with or without AI? Can you deliver on what that reader signed up for? Can I give them what they signed up for in my books? Other things I teach are rapid release. Authors don't understand the funnel, the process, how to stack, how to cycle draft. These are all things I did before AI as well, right? I used to rapid release, I used to cycle draft, I used to stack, write one, edit one, launch one. I'm just doing the same thing quicker. So it's not like I'm not making a get rich author class. I'm literally teaching the fundamentals. And then in craft, I'm teaching things like story structure, right? Not every book is about saving the cat. In fact, I have a whole piece in one of my classes about killing all the cats. Please, can we just stop with saving the cat? Because
I'm going to laugh at that real quick.
I really
Not
want
it-
to take your class now just so I can get that module on killing all the cats. And not that I'm unfriendly to cats. I like cats in theory, but I'm super allergic. So I want
if we're writing romance, we don't want to be saving cats. We want to be romancing the beat. If we're writing thrillers, we don't want to be saving cats. We want to be writing the Fishian curve. If we're writing fantasy, we don't want to be saving cats. We want to be writing a hero's journey. And if you don't understand those things, so I equated in my class to this, right? What you're delivering is the story. So say the story is a sofa. You cannot deliver the sofa on a scooter. The story structure is the scooter or the truck or the flatbed or the train or whatever you deliver that story on. You cannot fit the sofa on a scooter. It doesn't work. Save the Cat is not this universal story you can use for every single book in the whole wide world. It actually doesn't work, particularly if you're writing with AI. Because if you haven't got the right structure plugged into that thing from the beginning, it's going to solve the murder in chapter 2, or they're going to only kiss each other at the end of the romance novel that's supposed to have 5 chili peppers of spice. If you don't understand story structure, if you don't know what a beat is, if you don't understand what Save the Cat or the Fishian curve or Romancing the Beat are, those things are fundamental. So I don't think you can write with AI or at all, really, if you don't have a basic understanding of craft. If you don't understand that a character requires an emotional wound, and that not every emotional wound is an abandonment wound, not everybody has to be an orphan.
I think that's so important, because what you're saying here is something that I don't think a lot of authors understand in general. I really appreciated what you're saying about not every book is Save the Cat. And as a romance writer who has been to more conferences than I would like to count or admit to. The number of authors who seem to teach Save the Cat as a universal principle is like,
Kill the cat.
yeah, kill the cat.
Kill,
And
kill the cat.
and I think it's really telling about your knowledge as a romance author, as an author who can switch genres, because it's not just about, I know how to write a good book. It's, I know how to write a good book in X genre. And that isn't something that the AI can do without you explaining to it, explaining how to do it. One of my experiment books that I'm working on, I was trying to get it to write a romance. And it was something it was an area of romance I hadn't written before, but it was so funny because it was like, okay, whoa, pause here. We need to go back and redo this, because what you need to understand is why they can't be together as a couple, because that's so important in a romance. And if you have to figure that out, and you have to keep them apart, but also you have to have the reasons to put them together. And the AI was like, oh yeah, that's right. You're absolutely, but it only said that because I told it that. And all the things that people get the AI to do is because we tell it that based on our knowledge. And so if you're trying to write a book solely based on one style of, even Hero's Journey, which I love that you brought up, because again, I went to a million classes on Hero's Journey, and I get very frustrated if I try to tell AI, please plot this book according to Hero's Journey, because Hero's Journey doesn't work as well for romance, and you have to know how to tweak the pieces of Hero's Journey to make it fit romance.
That's it.
Yeah, and it's that knowledge that you have that every author has, and that's the point.
And I taught these classes before AI. I taught these classes to traditional writers. I sat down and spoke about market. I spoke about craft. I spoke about story structure. I spoke about understanding seasonal marketing, understanding when are the good months in the year to publish a book, when are the crap months in the year to publish a book. If it doesn't have Santa Claus on it, we don't publish in December. Like, things that authors don't know that AI is not going to tell you either. My most popular class is my Launchpad mentorship, which is a month-long class. You know why it's popular? Because I am there in person, literally kicking their asses to do the work. There's no magic bullet. There's no magic system. They have to physically stop procrastinating, stop thinking about doing things, stop putting it off, stop wondering what if this, if that. Do it. Get the thing done and finish it this week. And I'll see you on Thursday, and we're going to look at what you've done, and we're going to see what's great about it, and we're going to see what's crap about it, and we're going to see if it's going to work. Awesome.
Who just felt personally called out by that?
Like, first week of class, everyone's like, I feel attacked. I'm like, because we do. Let's be honest, authors, we're great at thinking about things, at thinking about doing things, at putting off, at procrastinating. Like, maybe I should write that book sometime. Okay, when is sometime?
Number one, ideation. Number two, intellection. I feel that very deep in the core of my soul.
So, for instance, this week I've done August Launchpad, October Launchpad, and we're busy with our February one. So one of my August Launchpadders is like a hair away from her six figures. She's over the moon, but she has worked every single day. She has held herself and others in that group accountable every day. She is there. She's commenting, are we doing this? Are you marketing? Did you send your newsletter? Have you done this? Did you see this promotion? Have you hopped on that promotion? I have 5 authors from my October Launchpad, all with books in their category top 100s this week.
This is fantastic.
Not because I gave them a silver bullet, because for a month I kicked their ass and showed them that it is possible if you work hard. Some of them have day jobs. One of them has 2 kids under 2. Okay? She's still doing the work. So for me, that class is more about taking your craft fundamentals, taking your rapid release business principle, taking newsletter marketing, and I am literally going to push you to do those 3 fundamental sets of things that any author should be doing in their business. I'm going to force you to do them for a month. I'm going to hold you accountable every week. And every week, I'm going to teach you the next step of the process and then hold you accountable for it next week. The only difference is that mentorship used to take 3.5 months to teach because I had to give them a month to write a book. They get a week now because we have the tools.
Yeah, you've accelerated.
Accelerated.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm teaching them to use the tools to accelerate it, but then we pause to edit it, to make it good. Go back to craft. Is it a good book? Is it going to hit the reader in the feels? Are they going to sign up for the next one because you've delivered on the promise? And nothing I teach is actually about making money.
No, but it
Everything
sure
I
is the way
teach
to
is
get
about
there.
that's it. There are steps to get there, but it's hell, listen, if writing books was a get rich scheme, I would be living on an island or a yacht or something somewhere.
I need to
Let's
remind
be honest,
people that it's not a grift.
it's not easy.
It's not easy. It's still a lot of work. People out there who have read the article are saying things like, you're a grifter. And I'm like, no, this is a lot of work. A grift is going out there and taking advantage of people who don't know any better, right? This is not a grift. This is work.
And it's
My
not
classes,
cheating. It's not cheating. Like everyone keeps saying, oh, it's cheating. It's stealing. It's cheating. Where? Where is this cheating? Because you still have
said,
to know the information and you still have to know how to craft a story
a
if you're going to be
story.
successful. And so this AI generated crap flood that people keep talking about, I'm so freaking sick of hearing about AI slop. Because sure, it's out there. And trust me, as Publish Drive, we reject hundreds of books every day for being AI slop. But the stuff that Coral is putting out, that the authors that we talk to, that we are working with, it isn't slop. It is AI mastery and it is author mastery.
My best moment this week has been some of the I would never read it comments on there are ones that have left 5-star reviews on books that are 100% AI generated without even knowing it. So I had a little really moment. You would know, would you though? Would you? On purpose, I made some pen names, they're AI. You can pick up that they're AI. And it was on purpose because, like I said, I wanted to test that limit. But the books that I edit, you are not going to be able to pick it up, right? We ain't got no Marcus chains in there. There's no military precisions. There's no ragged prayers or tangled.
Is there any ozone? What about ozone? You see an ozone in those stories?
Ozone.
No.
And the boardrooms do not smell like success.
Rude.
Promise
I've always wanted to go into a
them.
boardroom that smelled like success. Haven't experienced it yet, but I would like to.
No, they generally smell like secondhand smoke and cheap cologne. You've ever been in one?
Yes.
Definitely not success. But also, I asked Claude once, I was like, Claude, what does success smell like? Why do you keep saying that? And his answer was quite funny at the time. Like, I had a fat giggle. But eventually I was just like, I'm just going to ask why you keep doing this because I don't understand. But I teach my students to get the best first draft you can from your AI and then stop and put the human back in. Stop the process there. Don't doom edit it in AI. You'll be here for 10,000 years. Take it and put yourself back into it. Because asking it to sound like you is like, first of all, let's just be honest. We may as well bang our head against the wall because it's a very long process. You can get it there, but that's not a quick way to do something. Like if you want it to sound like you and you have an established voice, that's not going to happen. Not quickly. Like
Not
even
quickly.
with a style sheet, even with a style sheet with prompting and everything, and then you're still going to edit it to sound like you anyway. So just take the rubbish first draft that it gives you. A first draft has to exist and be rubbish. It has one job. That's it. It exists and it's rubbish. Fix it. And my system is not teaching them to grab a finished first draft. You've got to make it human again. And I think like a lot of the comments I've taken offense to are the ones that I don't love books or that I'm teaching this get rich scheme. None of my classes are about making money. And I invite anybody who thinks that that's what I'm teaching. hit me an email. I'll put you in a class and you'll see the first thing I say is, this is not about money. You're going to work hard to get the results. But here is what I do every day. Here is the steps to getting your newsletter to perform. Here is the steps to plotting to market. I can't make you use those steps. That's on you. Unless you're in Launchpad, then I literally will kick your ass for the whole month to make you do things. But I think when the New York Times came to me, I was in two minds because I knew this would happen. Like, honestly, I knew. But I also think this is a conversation that needs to start happening more loudly, more publicly, more openly. Because back when Kindle came out, we didn't have this conversation loudly. We didn't have this conversation openly and publicly. And it was a very ugly time in publishing.
It was a
A
very
lot of
ugly
people.
time.
That's it. And then a couple of years later, when Kindle Unlimited came out, we were opposed and against and for Kindle Unlimited. And again, it was this vicious time. Kindle Unlimited was the devil, and it was this, and it was that, and it was going to kill everyone's everything. And if you were in Kindle Unlimited, you were the bad guy. And if you weren't in Kindle Unlimited, you weren't going to make any money. Do you remember?
This dichotomy is kind of crazy, right? If you
I'm
go
like,
into Kindle Unlimited, you'll make money, but you'll be the bad guy. But if you stay out, you won't make any money, and you might not even find any readers.
I got bills to pay. I got
Right?
bills to pay at the end of the day. I got kids to feed. Like, you wouldn't moan at me. Like, I made the lawnmower analogy today. If I was a gardener and I cut the lawn with the lawnmower and not the nail clippers, are you going to be upset?
Yes.
Right, exactly.
It's
Well,
just
this has been, time has flown by. I think we could all just like talk for at least another hour or more. So we definitely want to have you back so we can actually talk more about the stuff that you do and not our feelings about this article. But it's important, I think, for us to continue to have these conversations because authors really need to understand that things like the New York Times article, while it's helpful for the conversation, it's not telling the whole story. And we're going to be here week after week telling the whole story from the perspective of
that's it.
a lot of different authors and a lot of different people who are successful with AI. And every single one of them is going to tell you the same thing.
Yes. In fact, we're going to continue on this path of educating people about AI and publishing. That is like our whole mission here at Brave New Bookshelf. It is our whole mission in general. We're pleased you were here with us, Coral, but we're also kind of sad about the way you were treated over the New York Times article. So we're going to hope that this actually opens people's eyes to what's going on out there. I think that a lot of people believe that this is just a little underground movement and only a few people are doing it. But no, this is a fairly large segment of the author population who is picking up AI in some shape or form to help out their process. Some are just using it, to help them brainstorm or outline or do anything like that. And then other people are doing more, like what Coral is teaching.
And they shouldn't be terrified to say, this is what I'm doing. I shouldn't have to hide what I'm doing away. I shouldn't be terrified that if somebody knows what I'm doing, I'm going to be kicked out of my friend groups, out of my author communities, be slammed on social media, be doxxed and things like that. I shouldn't be afraid to say, hey, I'm using these amazing friggin' ninja tools that are out there to do my job.
And that is really the thing we have to remember is those voices who are anti-AI. Number one, it's an echo chamber and it's the same people over and over. Although it was really funny because I've had a couple of people send me comments, oh, I can't believe such and such author is saying this. I'm like, I don't even know who that is. So good for them, I guess. But there are far more authors that I know and I know who they are. They are big names. They are using AI whether or not they are public about it. And a lot of them are not public about it for all of these reasons that we talked about. And again, like I hope that authors who want to start coming forward will feel safer doing so, knowing we have your back. And there's a bunch of us that have your back.
Yeah.
And the people who are making it difficult, who are doing the bullying, please stop.
Just stop. Just stop. All right. Well, this is a good place to end the conversation for today. We're definitely going to have Coral back at some point. I love talking to Coral in general, and I love talking about all of this as well. Thank you so much for being here, Coral. We really appreciate it, especially since you are so many time zones in the future from us. Thank you for staying up to talk to us.
Thank you for having me. And I think tonight was different, and I think it's important also that we let our feelings out there and don't just stew in them as well. I do think that giving it a voice and saying some things is important. And I love that about the Brave New Bookshelf and groups and things like that. It's a safe space. So let's keep safe spaces open. Like, that's important as well.
It is.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for being here. Okay, so everybody who has been listening, come on by the bravenewbookshelf.com. Actually, it's bravenewbookshelf.com. Come by bravenewbookshelf.com, read the show notes. Definitely check out the New York Times article. We will link to it. I apologize ahead of time that it is behind a paywall. I got a lot of people saying, oh, but it's behind a paywall. Yes, we pay for good journalism out there, right? Yes, we do. So come on by. We'll have all the links there. We'll also have links to all of the stuff that Coral's doing, the plot prose. If you listen to this episode and you were like, oh man, I want to learn all that stuff, guess what? She's the person to go check out. So we will have links to it as well. Danica, how do you want to finish up?
Yeah, just remember to like and follow Future Fiction Academy, Future Fiction Press, Publish Drive, Brave New Bookshelf on all the different socials you can find. Particularly, go watch us on YouTube and follow us on YouTube. You will see we are real human beings. And yeah, so please keep doing that. And also keep your comments nice. Be nice. If you can't be nice, don't say it or we'll delete it.
Yeah, be nice. Everybody be nice. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us today to talk about this awesome topic. We'll be back again next week with another episode. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on the Brave New Bookshelf. Be sure to like and subscribe to us on YouTube and your favorite podcast app. You can also visit us at bravenewbookshelf.com, sign up for our newsletter, and get all the show notes.